Welcome to the Sneaking Into the Movies podcast. I'm Max Nathan.
And I'm Norman Davis.
In celebrating Black History Month this year, Norman and I have decided to take a look at one of Spike Lee's modern masterpieces, BlacKkKlansman. And we have a very special guest in Jataven, or Sonny Sinatra, on YouTube. He's a great video essayist and YouTuber and also wants to make movies like us. And we had a great conversation with him, and we hope you enjoy it.
But first, I'm very excited to announce that we have another special guest, my very, very close friend and creative collaborative, Preston Bryant, who is coming on today to talk about his upcoming short film, The Cut, which I am very, very excited and proud to be associate producing on, and just kind of explain a little bit and talk to you, the listeners, about how y'all can maybe help us reach the finish line. So, let's take it away.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
First off today, we have a very special friend and collaborator of mine. We've been working together for years on pretty much every project I've ever worked on, and he is stepping into the director's chair for the first time. My buddy, Preston Bryant. How you doing, Preston?
Hey, I'm good, Norman. Thank you for having me on tonight.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Max. Thank you.
So, Preston, you want to tell us why you're here tonight?
Yeah, as Norman said, we've been working together for a couple of years. We've been friends for like close to 5 years now. Over the past 3 or 4 years, we've worked on a bunch of different films together. We worked on our first feature together. That was the first film set I think either of us had been on. And so yeah, we've been working on film, studying film, and this semester I got the chance to go into the Texas State capstone course, and so I'm making my first film. It's a short film about 12 minutes long about high school wrestling called The Cut.
Tell us a little more about The Cut. What's The Cut about?
So The Cut is about, so it takes place in high school wrestling. Our main character, Jackson, we catch up to him right before his big state finals match. And he goes out there, and we don't actually see the match at this time, but he goes out and he loses the match. And that's something that really sticks with him. I think anyone who's kind of competed has that feeling of loss and just kind of knows that a big moment like that can really stick with you. And so he goes out there and he loses, but then coming up on the next season is when we catch up to him again, and he's preparing for the rematch. Opening meet of the season, the schedule is lined up this way, kind of for colleges to come down, scouts. These are two of the best wrestlers, the two best wrestlers in that weight in the state, and so it's been a big hype match. And as he's getting ready, he finds out that his opponent actually dropped down a weight class. He'd been wrestling 145 all summer and dropped down to 138. So he decides, okay, I have one of two options. I can either not wrestle the match, or I can go ahead and cut the weight. So there's some pressure from coaches, there's some pressure from scouts and college coaches, and there's also just pressure from his own internal demons of wanting to prove a point, wanting to prove that he can win that match. So he goes on a pretty intensive weight cut, and he tries to cut about 10 pounds in under a day, which if anyone has done weight cutting before, you'll know that that is not an easy task and can be pretty hard on your body. I think thematically, one thing I've been trying to explore is just dedication, obsession, and kind of the line between the two and where the difference is. And more importantly than that, the question I keep saying that I really think the film is asking is are we, as competitors, are you more defined by your wins or by your losses? And I think, and most athletes that I've spoken to kind of at that high level, they remember their losses more. They remember the matches that they didn't win more than the ones they did. And you can be 150 and 1, and people are going to remember that one. You're going to remember that one. And so that's kind of something I want to explore on, what does it mean to be the second best at something, and what does it mean to have a goal that high and to fail at it, and what does that do to someone's psyche?
Cool. It sounds like a really interesting twist on a classic sports movie. I haven't seen a premise like that before in a sports movie, so it sounds awesome. I want to ask, what are some of your filmic inspirations, and also just maybe even some real life inspirations if you got any?
Yeah, I guess I'll start with real life. I was a high school wrestler for several years, and I did some pretty intensive weight cuts back in my day. And I remember in high school, like it was when I was first getting into film, and I've always been kind of drawn to like intense character studies. And especially in high school, like the first time I watched Whiplash, I was like very kind of enthralled by it. And I thought that, okay, if you want to make a film about wrestling, I feel like weight cutting is like a really interesting avenue to take. Because anyone who does it, like it's exhausting. Like it sucks. Um, I mean, I was eating like salads with unseasoned chicken for like a little bit of protein for lunch for like a month and a half straight during season. And so it's just kind of like, why would you put yourself through that? Why would you put your body through that on a regular basis?
Sorry, folks, we had some technical difficulties. Oi. But we got Preston right here. Preston, I got one more question for you. How can I, the amazing, amazing listener of the Sneaking into the Movies podcast, help you get the cut made? I'm going to hand you the headset here.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we are currently fundraising. We've been doing a crowdfunding campaign for the last couple weeks. We've actually already raised $10,000. So we've been doing pretty amazing so far. We have about 4 to 5 days left in our campaign. I think 4 when this video comes out, and we're looking to get around 2 to 5 thousand more dollars. So yeah, it's been incredible just to kind of see the support come in. I mean, $10,000 is already like an incredible amount of money to have raised. Just especially a lot of it just coming from like really small donations and college students and also just fans of wrestling. My executive producer on the project is Jason Nolf, who is a 3-time NCAA champion from Penn State. So he's been really helpful in like getting the word out to the wrestling community. And so yeah, that's how we've been able to even just do as well as we have so far. But yeah, we're in the last home stretch, and we're just trying to make the last push. So yeah, there's gonna be a link up, and if anyone, even just $5 or $10 goes a very long way in this campaign. And yeah, if everyone who listens to this podcast is doing $10, we'd hit our goal.
Yep,
So,
and you can find that link in the description for this podcast wherever you're listening to it, on YouTube, Spotify, wherever. It's going to be there.
awesome. Thank you so much, Max.
No problem.
So yeah, did y'all have any kind of more questions for me, or?
Does Norman?
No, I don't think so. I'm real excited. I'm working on this too, obviously. So, you want to support me too, fellow listeners. Donate to the cut. Share it on social media, even if whether you can donate or not. Just blast it out to anyone you think might be interested. We are in the home stretch here, guys, and I'm really excited for y'all to see it.
Yeah, in the past, I've produced like several of these kind of capstone or thesis programs, films at Texas State, and just a couple other projects. And this is by far probably one of, if not the most ambitious project I think both Norman and I, apart from the features we've worked on, have been a part of. So I just think, yeah, any support anyone can offer is incredible. I mean, I'm really shooting for the fences on this one, but things are coming together, and it's been really cool just to see people come around it and get excited about wrestling, and get excited about wrestling people who aren't that into film, get excited about filmmaking, and film people who aren't that into wrestling get excited about wrestling. So it's just like two of my passions colliding, and it's just been a lot of fun. So yeah, thank you all so much.
Thank you for coming on, Preston. I am excited to see what you both cook up, and yeah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you, Max. I'll see you around sometime soon.
Yes, sir. On today's episode, we have a very special guest. This is Jatavian Sonny Sinatra on YouTube. Makes great video essays and YouTube videos. Jatavian, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. Excited to talk about BlacKkKlansman 2. Very underrated film, I would say.
I would say so as well. Norman, when we were talking about choosing an episode to do for Black History Month, we were talking a lot about Spike Lee's movies, specifically this movie and Da 5 Bloods. You love Da 5 Bloods. It was really between those two modern masterpieces in, our opinions. I'm not as high on Da 5 Bloods as Norman is.
Me either.
But yeah.
Oh my god, I love that movie. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, BlacKkKlansman is also just like
feel like The Five Bloods is an acquired taste.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
it gave us a lot of things. Like, I mean, it gave us Jonathan Majors for better or for worse. But
You know what? Great actor at the end of the day. I think
yes, and he's very
the nicest
good
thing
in
I
that
can
movie.
Two things
He's a
can be true.
fantastic
Yes.
actor. Yeah.
Two things can be true.
But BlacKkKlansman. This is
Yes.
Spike Lee's movie from 2018. Stars John David Washington, Adam Driver, Laura Harrier, Topher Grace. Great cast.
Yes.
What did you guys think of John David Washington stepping into this role as the real detective Ron Stallworth?
Okay, so just to give some backstory, this is my first Spike Lee movie ever. I saw this
Really?
Yes, I saw this on
Okay.
a date my junior year of high school.
Okay.
So for me, I've always seen John David Washington as somebody that I've really been able to connect to on screen. When I saw Tenet, I was like, it's just cool to see a shorter, I'm not probably not even as tall as him, but a shorter black guy kicking ass, being the cool guy and all that. I really like his portrayal in this movie though, because it shows, I don't know, just a really cool charisma about the way that he can act. It's interesting to see him in these very dark moments be able to bring some levity to it. And his perspective as a character being a black man in the police force and his struggle between finding black pride but also trying to uphold the law is fascinating. And I think he does a great job portraying that.
I totally agree. I think there's like a really interesting like intentional restraint to his performance. I mean, obviously the character is a like a black police officer, in an environment where he really has to kind of restrain himself, otherwise he's gonna get fired. Like the first scene of the movie, the job interview, just a really funny scene. You have the late great Isaiah Whitlock Jr. Asking him about like if someone calls you the N-word, like, are you gonna be able to keep it together? And then he's like, he says, if I had to, and he's like, she, iconic catchphrase.
This was I saw it 2 days ago. This was the third or fourth time I'd watched it. When he asked that question the first time, you see Ron's eye like twitch a little bit. I never noticed that, but like it's cued as soon as he asks the question and it cuts, he twitches a little bit. It's like this innate anger that he has to suppress. So you're definitely on point with that.
It's such a that scene is such a good example of how well directed and acted this movie is. Like there's so many little moments in that scene. One that I kind of hung on just for like as a small character detail was when he says that his father was in the military. It's just kind of like adds to the aspect this character is kind of like trying to work within the system to change it, and that's kind of what this movie is about. But it shows that he may have like his own sort of deference and respect for the system. He obviously does. He wants to kind of figure out how to make it work for his people, obviously. But yeah, no, that scene is just a really, really great microcosm of everything in this movie. And just John David Washington's excellence as a performer in this movie. It's been talked about before, but Denzel was the guy that the real Ron Stallworth wanted to play him in this movie. And you get the next best thing. You get his son. He was elated to learn that John David was going to be playing him. Let's talk about some other performances in the movie. We have Adam Driver as Philip Flip Zimmerman. We get some great Adam Driver stuff in this movie. What do you guys think of him in this movie?
He's also awesome in this. I feel like this was kind of like the first thing we'd seen him in since Star Wars. I mean, I know he'd probably been in other movies, but I just remember, in high school seeing this. And I think he's also fantastic in this movie. It's a great performance.
Adam Driver is one of the most underrated actors, I feel. Like, truly.
1,000,000%.
He is amazing. I One of my favorite movies is Marriage Story, and
Oh,
I
it's
think he's just
awesome.
incredible in that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, his performance as Flip, I really enjoy. Again, like the key word for this movie is restraint, and there's so much that he has to hold back, and so much he doesn't even realize he's connecting to. Like that whole scene when he's
Yeah,
talking about being Jewish and how he didn't know that he was passing the whole time, but he was, and like his chemistry with John David Washington too, I love. I find their balance of comedy, but also like heartfelt connection through um, trauma and oppression is interesting. So yeah, I think he does a good job.
I totally agree as well. I think he's awesome in every movie. This came out, to your point, Norman. This came out like in 2018, which was, I believe, the same year as The Last Jedi. So he was
Wow.
kind of, going back and forth between, a one for them, one for me situation. Although I'm sure he does love playing Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, no, I think he's fantastic in this movie. I think the sort of clash that Ron Stallworth and Flip have, like in the, I believe it's the records room, where they are
Mhm.
talking about
Yeah.
how he's passing. Like that's a fantastic scene, and it also kind of just boils down like you know, the fact that like Ron Stallworth in that scene sort of illustrates the idea that Jews and black people, like the plight of Jews and black people, is interconnected, whether whether Adam Driver realizes it or not. And he is passing, and he kind of admits it later in the movie. That sort of clash and debate I thought was really, really great in this movie. Um, and yeah, I just really, really like him as an actor. I like John David and him as like a duo in this movie. Um, it's really, really
It's
great
interesting.
stuff.
It's interesting too, with both of their characters. They're both trying to look past something, or I guess like look away from something.
Yeah.
Where Flip's character is like he's not really embracing the Jewish aspects of his life or of his genealogy.
Mhm.
He he has to face that through this assignment that he's been given.
Mhm.
And with Ron Stallworth, he is a black man who wants to be a cop and try to fix things through the inside. But not only is he facing walls between like his chief and also then just like being in this weird undercover situation where he's like trying to do something against the KKK, but then is also having to only use his voice, right?
Yeah.
But then also with his romantic interest being like, but you're a black man trying to be a cop. How far can that really go?
Yeah.
Like they're both trying to look past something or look away from something that is very obviously stopping them from being who they really want to be or get to their real goal.
Yeah. And that also comes up in the scene. Like Laura Harrier as Patrice is also just an amazing character as well.
She's really great, man.
They have this ethical debate they're going on dates throughout the movie, but they're having this ongoing debate throughout each date. And the first, actually, it's the second interaction they have, because the after Kwame Ture's speech, they go out to the bar, and then they kind of talk about how the cops pulled them over and harassed them. But
Mm,
after that, they go to lunch,
mm,
and he tells she's getting into everything that she's getting into, and he's like, "Do we always have to talk about politics?" Like he to your point, is really just trying to look past this and doesn't
yeah,
really want to engage with this, because he knows that he is at least somewhat complicit with, or I don't know if he knows that he is, or he just feels it. Um,
mhm.
but yeah, no, he is definitely part of it, because he's obviously a cop. He's undercover in that moment.
The
Um,
movie does a good job at trying to illustrate like how is Ron being affected by Black revolutionary thought.
mhm.
Like it really tries to find a way to showcase like how is this cop being affected by radical themes
Yeah,
or themes of breaking this system while he is still working within it. And that's why he's inspired to be like, you know what, let me just call the KKK because I'm here.
yeah,
What else can I do but something right now?
yeah.
It's really interesting.
and in that moment, he's also trying to make a name for himself. He wants
Yes,
he
yes.
wants bigger things. He wants to do something, and he also wants to. He desperately wants to connect with the with Patrice and all of the people there.
He sees value within it. Like
Yeah,
he really does.
Definitely.
When he's there, he's like, I really. You don't. He doesn't even say anything connected to the Kwame speech, but you can tell he's being moved by it.
yes. He's just that scene is amazing too. You have Corey Hawkins coming in as Kwame Ture, giving that speech to the Colorado Springs Black Student Union, and you have Ron in the back, and they just kind of they hold on him every now and then. They look at him in the back, and that restraint that we were talking about before is just so
Yes.
like he doesn't even know really how to act in that moment, where he's just kind of like, they start like raising their fists in the air, and he's like you can
Yeah,
see like
yeah.
he doesn't even know what he's doing, and that's just a great performance thing from John David again, but it also shows the inner battle for that character as well.
Yes.
One just small technical thing about that scene, I love the way that Spike shot faces in that scene.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You-
yeah.
It's fantastic.
This movie was shot on film, and those kinds of like stitching like faces together situation is just like
Yeah, yeah.
really really cool looking. And it's almost like it's like in darkness, it's like all the
Yes,
way
yeah.
around.
Yeah, and especially with them all having afros, and you're just seeing the faces light up
Yep.
through these, and that being mirrored with the words of I forgot the actor's name, but the guy
Corey
playing
Hawkins.
Kwame Ture. Yeah, yeah, like it's a really beautiful scene showing empowerment through darkness. Like it's fascinating.
Yeah, I think now that you point that out, that's like a really great like visual way to think about it. Like the light is just like coming down onto their faces exclusively. That's just really awesome stuff.
One of my favorite scenes too, I gotta bring up. My you brought up the bar scene after
Mm-hmm.
they when Ron and Patrice are talking about the assault that happens.
Mhm.
When they have the dance scene and it's too late to turn back now,
Yep.
that song. I used to listen to that song so much from junior year to senior year of high
Mhm.
school after I watched that movie.
Yeah.
And that scene in particular, again rewatching it for the third, fourth time. That is one of my favorite movie scenes of all time. I think there's
It's
something about the like I don't know, just the vibration in the room, the feeling that you feel like you are there,
yeah.
bro, and the way that the scene feels even longer than it should be, but in a good way. Like I don't know, man. I
I
love it so much.
I totally agree. Like the joy is just kind of like emanating off the screen. Like and
Yes.
Spike chooses to like you don't even quite know where our main characters are within that
Right.
scene. He's kind of
Right.
going all over you see so many different faces in that scene once again, and I guess that's kind of just to show like the the collective like rather over the individuals in that scene. Like I think that vibe is the most important thing there.
It's also just to encapsulate the beauty of the black experience.
Of
Like,
course.
despite the darkness around it all, like everything that they're talking about is breaking and fighting through oppression. In that moment, they are all able to just love on each other and dance and have fun, despite what they were just talking about previously.
Of course.
Despite the assault she just had, like it's all encompassing in this very beautiful moment early on in the film.
Yeah,
It's really cool.
that scene is awesome.
Beautiful.
And then yeah, no, a little more about so after the dance scene, we
Mhm.
have the briefing with the chief.
Mhm.
And they say a little bit about or Ron hangs on the fact that Stokely Carmichael changed his name to Kwame Ture. And at the outside, Patrice tells Ron that he changed his name after moving to Africa, and he took the names of Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana and his mentor Sekou Touré of Guinea to honor great leaders. And you can see that he he feels that the cop is disrespecting him in that moment and calling him Stokely Carmichael, and he thinks that that's important. And the chief also says, I don't care if he changed his name to that draft dodger Muhammad Ali. I'm gonna call him
Ali.
Yeah, he says it in the most racist cop way you could imagine. Muhammad Ali. But yeah, no. So I just wanted to briefly get into like the Muhammad Ali and his kind of what he did and what that references as Muhammad Ali being a draft dodger. Ali saw the war in Vietnam as an exercise in genocide, and he protested against it by not going. And he said, why should they ask me to put on a uniform and go 10,000 miles from home and drop bombs and bullets on brown people in Vietnam while so-called Negro people in Louisville are treated like dogs? And for these statements, he was handed 5 years in federal prison and a $10,000 fine. And, we are living through similar, times right now, obviously. And it just shows how, important it is for people of Muhammad Ali's stature to speak up about things like this. Because ultimately, he was proven right. So at the end of that story, justice did prevail, and the Supreme Court overturned Ali's conviction in 1971, and they did so only after the consensus on the war had changed profoundly. So thought on the war in America had changed radically by that time, but he was proven right by history. And everybody paid a price during that war. Obviously, it was fucking horrible.
There's a great movie called The Five Bloods about Vietnam.
Yeah.
Honestly,
There you go.
I've really been wanting to hear more of Norman's thoughts on this movie, especially connected to The Five Bloods, because I feel like they have similar thoughts and ideas.
Yeah,
For sure.
I mean, I kind of forgot about the whole Ali scene and talking about the draft dodging before rewatching this. Definitely watched this. I mean, obviously the other day, but since The Five Bloods came out. But yeah, I found that really cool because kind of immediately I was like, the Leo, whoa, because the next movie is about Vietnam and kind of the lasting consequences. Yeah,
You could tell he was interested in it
Yes.
in a big way. But yeah, no, I just thought that was, relevant information to bring up, and just kind of shows how he kind of can sprinkle so much detail into something, just a little sprinkle of that, racist cop kind of just throwing in that detail can tell a whole story in its own right. And yeah, I thought that was interesting. But
We'll probably get to it later too, but I think this is Spike Lee's best attempts at just dumping history on the audience, because he does that in all of his movies, which is one of my complaints about his filmmaking. But this movie, I think he does it in such a cinematic way.
I agree. He can be a little, to your point, especially, which we'll probably get into at the end, but the ending of this movie is very unsubtle, let's say.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
big time.
There are many moments that are not subtle at all. Very. We wouldn't really elect a celebrity, right? There's no way we do that. Right?
That scene I thought was super goofy, and I actually wrote it down as Ron getting a lecture from this white cop about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And it's a fine scene. I don't know. I can see what he's doing,
Yes.
Another thing expanded on heavily in The Five Bloods.
yes,
Wendell wears a MAGA hat for most of that movie.
yeah.
Yeah. That movie deserves a rewatch for me.
I gotta rewatch it too.
It's really good. We're talking about BlacKkKlansman today, but it's a great. Max and I were texting about what we were gonna do. I was like, man, The Five Bloods is really good.
They're definitely intertwined in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. That's why I don't really. I like the conversation. I like it being brought up because they do seem like they're saying similar things.
Yeah,
For
kind of
sure.
the same. I think social issues, especially just because like this time is when, I mean, obviously all these things were going on for a long time, but like Vietnam was kind of like the first war that everyone was like, "Yo, this is not cool." Times were changing, and really is like an interesting point in history. To understand why Spike would want to hang out there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he is, you can see him, like, especially with the ending, just kind of saying, like, look at this. Like, this is not really changing. Like, we're in the same moment, almost. Like, don't think that we have moved past this. Like, this is still very much alive and well. To the point where you even have footage of the real-life David Duke at the end talking about Trump himself and the Make America Great Again movement and all that stuff.
Do you look at what movie beat this for Best Picture too?
What movie beat this for Best Picture?
Green Book.
Oh,
Which I personally don't think is a great movie. It doesn't.
I haven't watched Green Book, so
I
I'm not
haven't
even
either.
saying
I watched
Not
it back
even.
when it came out. 'Cause, I mean, I was also, like you said, in high school when this came out. This BlacKkKlansman was a big movie for me, and this was when I was like, I gotta start watching all these Oscar movies. It's not very good. It's like incredibly on the nose, low key, a little racist. I mean, I think everyone remembers that moment. Spike Lee talking about that's not my cup of tea.
it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Probably felt weirdly vindicated in a way after that movie won over his movie.
Yeah, that's awful. That's a tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did want to go back to when you brought up David Duke, and one of the scariest lines. I was watching it with a friend. One of the scariest lines in the movie is, "Why don't you come to my home in Louisiana and we'll show you how we play?" Like that line is scary because it's coming from a guy who, in all intents and purposes, like he seems chill. Like I'm just having fun. I'm racist. I hate black people, but like I'm a funny guy. I have fun and I'm chilling.
Compared to the other guys in the clan, like, yeah, I could see it.
In that moment, you realize not even realize because we all know how evil he is, but it's more just it's interesting how much that like intense burning hatred can come out. Like in that moment, he wanted to do unspeakable things to Ron, and I feel like that moment encapsulates how this whole film feels. Like you're having fun. The plot is very like jumpy and cool and all that, but then very quickly it'll turn and it's like, but this is a dark time in history. This is very
Yep.
scary. And I really love how they do the scene with the guy telling the real story of the person being tortured and paraded across the streets while the KKK initiation is happening, like juxtaposing those two darknesses.
Yep.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating film because it balances being so fun and vibrant yet so true to real life.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And like, that's just another the story that Harry Belafonte tells at the end of the movie is just kind of another example of how he can sprinkle in real history into this stuff.
Yes.
And a thing that I read about the movie that I thought was kind of interesting and kind of cool, just as far as like a respect for the history goes, is that Spike had everybody on the set, like including crew, wear formal attire during the filming of that scene. Just an interesting fact, cool thing. And this was actually Harry Belafonte's last on-screen movie role.
Wow. Spike Lee's always seemed like a really cool guy to me. I've never, like there are some
Incredibly
directors who are still
forward-thinking.
like I feel like directors, some of them can be assholes. And not to say he can't be an asshole, but he seems like he cares.
Yes.
That's nice. Like bigger than the movie itself.
Yeah. He just seems like I mean, he's older at this point, but he just seems like a, like chill grandpa vibes. But
Yeah, I could agree.
and just like a shepherd for cinema at this point. Like he is kind of an older guy, older statesman at this point. And with this movie, he became the 6th black person nominated for the Academy Award for Best Director after John Singleton for Boys in the Hood, Lee Daniels for Precious, Steve McQueen for 12 Years a Slave, Barry Jenkins for Moonlight, Jordan Peele for Get Out, and of those 6 guys, none of them won. Which sucks
Oh,
because you look at that list and there's just a ton of great movies on it.
yeah.
And we just talked about Green Book and that whole thing and
If I'm being
tough.
honest, I definitely have like a hierarchical mind sometimes with media, but out of all those movies, BlacKkKlansman is my favorite. I haven't seen
Really?
I haven't seen Moonlight,
Okay, you
which
should
is
watch. You should
sad.
watch that.
Yeah, it's sad. I should. Um,
Moonlight is like one of the best movies just ever. I
yeah,
mean,
I
Black
definitely
Klansman's
should watch
fantastic,
Moonlight.
but oh my god, Moonlight is just
But yeah, outside of that one, BlacKkKlansman is my favorite. I like Get Out. I think it's interesting because man, just so many of those directors they open the door for so much of what we see today.
Yes.
And BlacKkKlansman feels like one of the last films where Spike Lee was able to show I am that guy. Like
Hmm.
I'm the guy who did Mo Better Blues and Malcolm X and Do the Right Thing. Like with stuff like Highest to Lowest, I don't feel like we get to see his best work.
Yeah.
Um, but this one feels like even I was telling my friend like it just seems so much more expensive. Like this, like watching it, it just seems like a bigger budget, a
It
bigger
does. Yeah.
I don't know, like bigger scope. Yeah, it's really cool.
He's just a great director. I think the best directors can really make that small, but like even like looking at something like Get Out that's on that list. That movie
Mm.
is a ridiculously small. It's just like a family at a house basically. There's that one scene with a bunch of extras that come to the house.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
other than that, it's just people at a house. Like and the sunk you think about the sunken place, you think about all of these things that kind of make it feel so much bigger than it is. Um and speaking of Jordan Peele, we talked about him a bunch just now, but he is actually a producer on the movie. And
yeah.
he actually brought the idea to Spike Lee. Um,
Wow.
and when he brought it to Spike Lee, Spike initially thought it was way too goofy for a movie and that it sounded like a Dave Chappelle skit. And
there
Wow.
is a Dave
yeah,
Chappelle skit about a black guy.
Yes, there
The
is. Yeah,
blind
yeah,
black man, BlacKkK. It's awesome.
yeah.
but yeah, no, it's interesting thinking about how Spike thought that at the beginning of the journey that he went on with this movie because the movie is so funny like we just talked about like
Yes.
it's also
It's hilarious.
so tragic. You're obviously dealing with the Klan. There's a ton of suffering, but at the same time this movie's hilarious.
It's such a fun time.
Yeah.
It's crazy how he balances that, man. Like, again, like restraint, keyword, but balance. Like, he balances this, like these genres, these themes, these characters in such a cool and effective way.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think like one of the scenes that I was thinking of was I think the hardest I laughed during the movie was when he's first telling that other cop about how he called the KKK and he got a meeting and he's like, well, you probably shouldn't go to that meeting.
Yeah.
And it's just delivered so bluntly. And Spike has that shot where he kind of like, just kind of, it's kind of like this, where he'll just like hold on your head in the center of the frame just for like a long time. And they'll cut back to that shot over and over again. He does that in the job interview as well. And it makes
Mhm.
for, it's really interesting stylistically. Like it's nice to look at visually, but it also can be so funny. Like I think in
Yes.
all of the times that he uses that, it is really funny. He does the same thing with Jonathan Majors in Defy Bloods. Not to, I don't want to make it a full Defy Bloods podcast comparison podcast,
Hey,
but
I gotta come back and talk about that movie, man. I
yeah,
feel like I should
We
do that.
gotta loop back
we'll
around on the Five
we'll
Bloods.
set it up. We'll
Yeah.
set it up. It sounds like we got to talk about that movie, but yeah, no, it's just a really great shot.
I did want to say one thing because you said something that really opened my mind. As far as why these movies feel so big,
Mhm,
I think it's because of like especially like just like black directors and like stuff that they do.
mhm.
It's the subtleties, like being able to hone in on these small details that people can expand in their life and be able to see their own perspective within.
Yeah,
It allows for such a bigger scope in storytelling. So
for
I
sure.
just thought about that when you said that, and I wanted to put that out there.
Okay, we're back. And we are still talking about BlacKkKlansman, just wrapping up here. What are y'all's overall thoughts on this film?
Again, I love this movie. My first Spike Lee film I ever saw, and is definitely my top two in his filmography. Um, BlacKkKlansman and Mo Better Blues argue in my head on which one are his best, in my opinion. But yeah, John David Washington does a great job as Ron Stallworth. The chemistry between him and Adam Driver is great. We didn't really get into the villains a lot, but Topher Grace's David Duke is
Yeah,
a
talk
great
about it.
performance. Really, I really love his performance. I love how he plays. Again, he's kind of charismatic. He's kind of, I wouldn't say likable, but you get how he could get the following he has. Um,
Yes.
and then everybody under him, from like Felix and Paul Walter Hauser's Patrick impression, like he is all of the characters are so, they're very like Django Unchained KKK versions. Like they're stupid, but
Yeah.
you find them oddly entertaining. So
Yeah,
great movie to me.
specifically with the Topher Grace thing, how you said like he's so charismatic and you understand. Obviously, I don't think this was the intention at the time, but times have changed. I mean, this movie came out 8 years ago, and we live on a different planet now. When I was watching it now, I kind of thought of like all these kind of like right wing, whatever you want to call them, people like I don't know, like Nick Fuentes and
Oh yeah, I was
Yeah,
thinking about that
tweeters.
the
Yeah,
whole
like they-
time watching this. Yeah.
you can watch a clip of them not talking about the horrific shit they talk about, and you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of funny, but then they let some slip about or how they feel about whoever.
And when the characters are driving around and you're just hearing like David Duke's
Yeah.
thoughts, it just felt like alpha male podcast.
Like
was
I
thinking
feel like if Spike decided to make this movie now instead of then, like that would have played a much bigger part. Because obviously, yeah, like that's always been a thing, but we're seeing it so much now. Where, I mean, not that like David Duke was ever like a household name, really,
He was trying. He was
Yeah, he
trying
was
to be,
trying
and
to
that's
be.
like the whole.
but that's kind of where we
yeah.
are now. Like my parents ask me about Nick Fuentes. They shouldn't know who that like person is. Like that guy,
Exactly.
that guy should
That's
be
insane.
in a hole at the bottom of 4chan or something. But
Right.
I mean, he's had dinner with like the president of our country, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, David Duke endorsed the president of our country.
Yeah.
And you see it at the end of the movie. You have
Yes.
footage of the Charlottesville, just like attack. I don't even know what you would call that. Just like awful. Yeah.
White supremacist
Charlottesville
rally.
Yeah.
That's
right.
that's the beauty of this movie to me, though, is that it's so entertaining and it's so fun to talk about, but we can't. Spike Lee literally forces where we can't talk about it without talking about real life.
Yeah.
And so it always forces these real political, like real life conversations, regardless of how much we want to get into the art. And I think forcing audiences to do that is something I can admire, for sure.
Yeah, and I think showing that at the end, like I mean, we're old enough to remember what like all that Charlottesville stuff,
Yes.
and like how much of that stuff is just like totally normalized now. Just like watching this now and being like, yeah, we did not learn the right lessons from this movie, or
No.
about like their history, which obviously history, you don't whatever, like that's tale as old as time. But
Yeah.
I just remember back like seeing that and just being like oh my god, like what, this doesn't happen, and now it just happens all the time. And like I said, like the most popular streamers or whatever are like literally white supremacists
Yep.
who hate Mexicans, hate black people, hate Jews, hate everyone.
That's why, like, when we talk about like how on the nose this film is, and how sometimes it's like, oh, like, do we really need that scene? Do we really need this to be so this way? It's like, it's weird. It's like maybe we do, but then he did it, and it didn't help that much. So
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know.
I think that's a thing with like modern movies nowadays is like I think it's become harder to make movies because real life has just become so like we talked about this movie being unsubtle, but we just have people who are openly evil now. Like, and you don't even got to try to hide it in a way that's like it makes it harder to depict real life in a movie in an interesting and compelling way because you're like you if you go over the top, you're going to be like, oh, that's way too on the nose. But back in the day, that would have just been like something fun to do. But now it's just kind of like oh, you're going too far, and then it's like it doesn't work today. Like there's just certain things that are like, I just think it's harder to make movies today just because of how awful our current reality is.
Yeah, I mean, like to tie it into real life, like that's part of the reason like Trump got reelected is the whole campaign path. There's the Project 2025 and all this crazy stuff, and it's just always like, oh, but he wouldn't actually do that. You know, he's like he's a little racist with the border wall thing, but he wouldn't actually like send the military after citizens. And like we're a year in, and like yeah, you know what I mean. And I don't know. It's just like, yeah, this idea that this is so ridiculous or over the top or on the nose, like it couldn't actually happen. And like it just is right in front of our eyes. Then, yeah, it's hard not to feel insane every day. Like, am I the only sane person left? Or I don't know.
Maybe that's where Spike Lee was coming from when Jordan Peele presented him the idea. Spike Lee was like, oh, this is too goofy. Like maybe there was something where he reconciled the fact that like this type of goofiness really does represent so much of these sorts of issues. Like the fact that David Duke, regardless of the lies Ron Stallworth told, but he bonded with a black man. Like regardless of how he viewed that, he did bond with him.
Yeah.
And yet he is also the spokesperson for racial hatred. You know, like that is goofy within itself, and regardless of that goofiness, it still allows for so much darkness and so much humor as well because of the irony and the satirical nature of it.
For sure. And even in like the real story, like there was a moment where Ron, I believe it's in the book, where Ron talks about how like the police chief was saying like, well, he's going to know you're black because of your voice. And then Ron was like, what's the difference between my voice and his voice? And they couldn't give him an answer. So it, you know, these things kind of are, like you said, just like, it is a real life. It is goofy. It is a real thing that happened, and it's also awesome.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I think this is just a really great movie.
I do want to say the police chief too is one of the most realistic parts of this film because he's incredibly racist, but yet like went like that one scene where they tangle up the one bad cop and like they record him, and then the chief is like, oh, we got you or whatever, like but then right after that scene he's like, we're destroying all the evidence of this. It showcases like that is real racism where when you're overt about it, I can snuff you away to be able to prop up myself, and then I can use the system in order to destroy what I believe is going against what I believe is supremacy or better.
Yeah.
Like he's a throwaway character that you might not really pay attention to, but he's one of the most realistic parts of this film.
I totally agree. I think he gives a great performance as well. And yeah, that, you know, them destroying the evidence is just such a gut punch as well for for the entire like operation, real life operation, the movie that you saw. And it's just like, it's like, it's just crazy. It's crazy. That's all I gotta say about it. But
That's why that full circle at the end when they're laughing at David Duke, like with Flip and Ron and the two other cops, like it feels like at least we got this, like at least after all this bullshit, after this weird ass journey, we got these characters to grow together to this point.
Yep. And all like you said, all of those characters like learn something about themselves, especially Adam Driver, and we talked about that. But yeah, the fact that they could get to that point is just awesome, and it's hilarious when they start fucking with him. He's fucking with him at the beginning of the movie too, with that one other cop, and he like spits out his drink at one point, and that's just funny shit. But yeah, and then we kind of have the ending where I thought it was really well done. We have the the Charlottesville stuff and the Trump stuff. We talked about that, but before that, we have it just sort of ends very abruptly where John David Washington's character, Ron Stallworth, and Patrice are talking about everything they've been talking about throughout the entire movie. They're talking about their
relationship.
Yep. And Patrice is like, I don't know if I can do this. And as she says that, knock at the door. And then they go out with their guns, classic Spike Lee dolly shot, into all of the stuff that we talked about after that.
Burning cross, KKK members
Yep.
worshiping. Yeah, the great visual of the eye with the burning cross inside.
Yeah. And it's almost like they don't even like this relationship might just persist because of the fact that they don't even have time to really define how they feel about it. Like they just have to stick together in this moment because there's crazy shit going on outside.
Oppression is the great equalizer.
Yeah.
Sadly, sadly.
But yeah, no. I think that's. Do you guys have anything else to say about BlacKkKlansman?
Norman?
No, I mean, I agree with everything. Yeah, I think this movie's fantastic. Came out such like a pivotal time in my life, both filmmaking wise, but also just like growing up. I was in high school, so I was more aware of what's going on in the world. I was in debate, which just makes you very political by force. So yeah, this will always just be very, very, very special movie to me, and I'm really glad we got to revisit it here. And I can't wait to talk about the Five Bloods soon, because
Yep.
it
Again,
sounds like
I gotta
we
be
got
there
to
for
make
that.
that happen.
I gotta be there for that.
It will happen. We are putting it on
Get
the
you back on
calendar.
1,000%.
I just want to say, yeah, one of the coolest looking movies of all time. I stand on it. If you haven't seen the movie, please go watch it. Like, it's something that, again, third, fourth time watching it, and I'm still like, damn, it's so fun. Like, damn,
Yes.
it's so cool. Like, yeah, it's still so heart-wrenching and like gut-punching and offensive, but purposefully. Like, it does all the stuff that Django does, but better. Like, I can't, man, I love it. I love it.
We didn't even talk about the absolutely fantastic edit and score that this
Oh
movie
my
has.
God, the score, the score.
The
Unreal.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jeez.
so effortless too. Like you're watching this movie and like you're focusing on things we've been focusing on, the direction and the performance. You're like, wait a minute, this score, yeah.
The score, bro, like it adds such a noir aspect. Like you expect someone to just start
Yep.
narrating the whole story. I feel like honestly the guitar feels like it's narrating this journey.
yes.
A little bit.
And that's Terrence Blanchard, the composer,
Okay.
by the way.
Man,
Yeah, just
great
absolutely
score.
amazing.
That should have been nominated if it wasn't.
Let's talk about did we go through all of the Oscar nominations that this got? I don't think we
I
did.
think we just said Best Picture.
Yeah, so this was
Whatever.
nominated for editing, performance for actor in a supporting role for Adam Driver, directing for Spike, adapted screenplay for the four writers on the film, and Best Picture. And music. Okay, so yeah,
Okay, cool. Good,
Terrence
good,
Blanchard
good.
did get nominated. This only won for adapted screenplay.
But I think that's one of the worthy ones too. Like,
Yeah.
it really is a great screenplay. It's such a like even the whole climax with the bomb. Like that's such a interesting way to crescendo this film.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's
Deserved
also
more, but that works.
it keeps it like it obviously has stakes, like there are people in danger, but it's not like they're trying to blow up the whole town. And also this is based on real stuff, so I'm sure they depicted like the real stuff that actually happened.
Yeah,
But
they had limitations.
yeah, it's for the movie it works that this isn't like, just them the Klan trying to blow up the whole town or blow up like an entire Black student union protest. Like they are going after they are going after the Black student union because they're going after Patrice, but it's really in that scene about Ron trying to save Patrice, and that works for just from a movie standpoint. I think like it's
Yeah.
small in a way that really adds to the tension of the scene.
Yes, for sure.
And yeah, I think
I love the movie. I love it.
it's great.
I'm
Such a
glad-
good movie, yeah.
I hope that this is my first of many guest appearances on
Yes,
this, on
you
the
will be
show,
coming back.
and
For sure.
I'm so glad that it was this movie because it made me rewatch it, and man, Spike Lee at his best is one of them ones. One of them ones.
Yep.
Agreed.
Makes you love cinema. Makes you be like, damn, I love movies.
Yes. Definitely. We are going to be coming back next week with a very special episode. And if you listen this far, thank you for sneaking in with us. And happy Black History Month, of course.
Happy Black History.
Always. Happy Black History Month.
Bye-bye.
Bye.